that's, I mean,
This meeting is being recorded.
the adjudicator is not supposed to give you an oral feedback. I don't know if we are going to make it accessible for you to look at the score sheets, but immediately afterwards, I don't think you'll be told about your individual speaks. I mean, that's not something that's going to happen simply because there's like a huge number of people participating. It becomes humanly impossible to coordinate that data and furnish it, right? So I think we can address the questions as and when we proceed with this session, right? Because if we make it a question answer session, then we're going to lose out on the format description. Do you guys agree? I think lower your hands for now. Let's begin. And then towards the end, if your questions remain unanswered, then we can take them one by one. Just pay attention to whatever is being talked of right here. All right. To begin with, the one-on-one format, I'm going to tell you some very basic things. If you need to write them down because you might forget, you think, then write them down. If you don't want to write them down, you just want to store them in your brain, it's absolutely fine by me. But just have some clarity on what qualifiers has, like, this particular first round has in store for you, right? The one thing that you need to know is one-on-one format. Don't get confused with the other formats, okay? The one-on-one format and the basic nitty-gritties of it is such that if you are going as the proposition speaker, which is the speaker going for the motion, then you will be delivering the first speech for 3 minutes. Is that clear? Followed by a speech of 3 minutes by the opposition speaker, followed by a reply speech again from the first speaker, and then followed by towards the end and a reply speech from the opposition speaker. Does that make sense? How many speech in total? Four, right? So the first two speeches are your constructive speeches. Constructive means I am giving my input according to what I prepared for this debate. Do you understand? And reply speeches are speeches that you deliver in a more impromptu fashion. Impromptu meaning you listen to the other speaker, you devise some argument that will counter the other arguments being made by your opposition, and thereby try to find solutions to your, I mean, their problem, and thereby making your case better. Which means your reply speech has to be more about your listening skills as well. If I don't listen well to my opponent, or if I'm somebody who's presuming a lot from the other side that, oh, this is what my opponent is going to say, so let me also make my reply speech beforehand. I mean, that's humanly impossible for you to do because people can have different perspectives. And for you to like prepare a reply speech before it is time for you to would really not like reap results. Do you understand? So you can't possibly prepare a reply speech. I'm going to tell you how to deliver a reply speech today within a very short frame of time that you'd be given. But then don't try to like prepare your reply speech beforehand. That doesn't happen. That shouldn't happen. Okay. So the first speech you can definitely prep for. The first speech you can definitely also try and look for data and research and have your facts correct and have your argumentations and have like a nice structure and everything. But then also understand that the reply speeches don't have to be as good as the first speakers, like your constructive speeches. And I'm not saying that they can be of an inferior quality. I'm just saying that even if your reply speeches don't sound as confident because they are being made on the spot, it's still fine as long as you're reasoning well. Just be confident with your reply speeches. Do you understand, guys? Don't try to write down your reply speeches beforehand that, oh, I have my debate after 2 days, because I'm scared of public speaking, I'm going to write both the speeches for myself before in the like as even before the debate has started. That doesn't happen. Only the first speech can be prepared. The second will inevitably have to be an impromptu speech. Bhanvi, I'll take your question before I go any further.
Actually, I wanted to ask that, like, if suppose when the second, will we allowed to give, will be allowed to prepare will be allowed to take 1 to 2 minutes to prepare our counter speech?
Probably yes, yeah. I think that much accommodation you can ask for by from the adjudicators. Okay, so if you go ahead and say that, oh, my team, I require a minute or so, they will be able to furnish it. But then it has to be a reasonable demand, right? You can't go ahead and say that, oh, give me 10 minutes to prepare for my reply speech. Do you understand? So I'm going to directly jump to the reply speech and how you should ideally go about preparing and writing your reply speeches, because I understand it might be a new affair for a lot of you. Okay, So reply speech I'm going to deal with in a bit, but if you have any other questions which are not pertinent to the reply speeches, I'll take them now. Starting with Manat, followed by Prisha, followed by Gauri, followed by our Ravir. Yes, please. In that order. You're not audible. I don't know if it's just me or everybody else. I can't hear you. Can you please put it in the chat? I'll address it there itself. Yes, others, please ask your questions in the order.
Is it allowed to access the internet in between the entire session?
Advisably, no.
All
No,
right.
right? So what you should be doing and what you will be given the space to do is that you'll be given the motion like 3 days prior. So you have a lot of time to prepare your constructive speech. So the first 3 minutes of your like the one of your two speeches should be like very is something that you should be very comfortable with, because that's something that you would have prepared, right? You'll be given a theme, you'll be given a motion, you'll be given content to prep from, though it's not you're not being confined to that content, you're still being given a starter sort of a thing, right? That take off from here. So what's going to happen on the WhatsApp groups that you've been put in now?
Please check the chat.
I will in a while. So once you, now that you've been put on the WhatsApp groups, what we're going to do is relay some material that you can access and read for yourself. So if, say, for example, if there's fast fashion, right? We have a lot of articles on fast fashion itself for different categories, right? According to your needs and the kind of language that you comprehend. Which means that you can read these articles, you can get like a heads up on what might come or what kind of motions might come, and then accordingly prepare yourselves. Now, this material also has examples of the kinds of motions that might come. So you will have access to a lot of material that will give you a fair idea about what is to come in the tournament, okay, and how you should be preparing yourself. So I advise you to have the data handy with you, which means if you want to refer to some notes, then have them consolidated in one place. Don't just keep going back and forth from the internet to the Zoom call that you're on during the tournament. That's like, even if it's not prohibited, I strongly recommend you that you don't do that if you want to like qualify for the semis and finals, because it ends up distracting you. Do you understand? Like, consumption of new data from the internet while the tournament is going on is the last thing you want to do in this tournament or any other. Do you guys understand?
Yes, that answers. Thank you.
All right. Lot of questions. Ananya?
Ma'am, so do we have to download the Oglai app today?
You
Because
can. Ogly app you can download, but we will also be sharing it on the WhatsApp groups. So you don't need not worry too much about that.
ma'am, I don't think the WhatsApp group for the tournament has been made yet.
Which category are you from?
Ma'am, 7 to 9.
It has been made. I'll see if you've been added. It's been made though.
Yes.
Gauri?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what's the time limit for the reply speech?
3 minutes, right? So that we're going to come to. Don't jump to questions too fast, guys. It's still a session that I'm yet to take. So if your questions are with respect to the format, lower your hands, because we're going to be covering that. I haven't started yet.
Ma'am,
Lower your hands.
if you want more 1 minute or 2 minute, uh,
Okay, reference to the notes, there is something that I clarified in the last session as well, which was the orientation. If you refer to your notes and if your eyes are always like dithering between this camera and the notes, then the adjudicator will know that you are underprepared, right? So it's about the finesse with which you handle your notes also. I can use my notes as reference, but then the adjudicator shouldn't get to know, which means you're not cheating the adjudicator, you're just keeping those notes as a last resort, right? What if I forget to just sideline that anxiety? You can keep a note with you, but I strongly again recommend not to refer to the note too much, right? Because if you're going to refer to this note for like statistics and everything, you're bound to falter somewhere, right? So have it in your head, try doing that. It's just a 3 minute long speech. I don't think it should take up a lot of your time, even if you were to structure your speech and put it all in your head, right? Demo of a debate, we're going to try to accommodate it in this session by 7:30, but for that you guys need to be patient. I think put all your questions in the chat and we'll address them towards the end. because most of what I'm answering, it's just getting repetitive things that I've already answered, right? So it ends up wasting other people's time who have already had the answers to those questions, right? So put in your questions in the chat, but just don't, like, it shouldn't be overwhelming for others who are trying to listen to me. Just do it slowly and steadily. Okay. All
I
right.
just question, since the groups are from 4 to 6, would that be like, a class 4 student would be pit against a 5th or a 6th standard? Will that happen, or are you going to pair?
Okay. All right. Last question that we're taking verbally. All the other questions should go in chat. With that said, the categories have been divided and you will be debating amongst the people from your category. Okay. That's something that's been clarified earlier. It's something that I'm clarifying over again. Everybody, please take a note of this. You will be competing with a person of from your own category. It's practically doesn't make any sense for a fourth grader to go debate with a 12th grader, right? It's just simply unfair. So it's your category that you're posited against. Any other question? Lower your hands, people, because there's just like a lot of activity happening on my screen. I'm getting distracted. Thank you very much. And put your questions in the chat. We're going to address them towards the end. If not, we'll have another session for the question answers that you might have or doubts that you might have. All right, no worries. But today's goal is for you to understand the format. Let's get to it. So one thing is that one-on-one format. The first speech is 3 minutes long. Okay, I don't want you guys to be repeating questions. Write it down if need be. All right. The first speech, which is the constructive speech, is 3 minutes long, which means that once you've been given the motion, you'll be expected during your prep time of 3 days or 2 days or whatever it is, depending on your category, you'll be expected to draft a speech which should be within the 3 minute time limit. Okay. Now, what happens if I exceed my time limit? Simply this: we don't downmark you, we don't tell you to stop. Then, I mean, if you exceeded by like 4 minutes, if you make it a 7 minute long speech, then definitely somebody's going to mute you. But like if it's like 30 seconds beyond the time limit or 40 seconds beyond the time limit, nobody's going to stop you. But don't think of it as a positive thing, right? That, oh, nobody stopped me, so probably my points were counted. Because what adjudicators do on a very strict basis is that they don't let anything additional, I mean, anything that gets spoken after the time limit enter their sheets. Which means even if you're speaking after 3 minutes, is basically redundant because nobody is putting it in their sheets as adjudicators. Do you guys understand? It's as much about time management as it is about the delivery of like superlative or the best of the best content, right? This is to say that time management also features as a subcomponent of your manner. Okay, so matter, method, and manner. Within manner, time management is crucial. You can't think of it as like a taken for granted sort of a thing. Time management is imperative. It's very important in this debate or any other, in this tournament or any other. All right. After that, once you've delivered your constructive speeches, think of yourself, all of you, as the first speaker from the government side or the like the proposition side, which is for the motion side. Okay. If you're the first speaker, you are already done with your 3 minute long speech, which is a constructive speech, which means you're supposed to open the debate as the first speaker for the motion. Okay. So again, now coming on to the person who will be going against the motion, the first speech that you have from against the motion is again 3 minute long, and it's just like the first speech from the proposition side in the sense that it will also be a constructive speech. Constructive meaning this is still the part of the debate which is prepared by you in those 3 days that you were given, right? So the opposition delivers their prepared speech, proposition delivers their prepared speech. After that, what follows are your reply speeches. Now, what are reply speeches based on? Simply your first two speeches. Do you understand? If I am from the proposition side, I am to deliver a reply speech. My points of reference are not going to be the internet, is not going to be the exact same speech that I had just delivered. It's going to be what I heard from the other side speak, right? I have to be a proactive listener for me to be able to deliver the best reply speech. Do you understand? So, for you to be able to deliver the right reply speech, don't think that you have to have statistics. Don't think that you have to have a lot of data because that's not what's expected of you. You probably would not be marked as fancily as you think you might be if you are citing a lot of stats. Another mistake that speakers tend to make is that they replicate their first speech in their second speech under like performance pressure or call it whatever, right? Don't do that either. The things that you have already mentioned in your first speech are things that you have already mentioned in your first speech. If the adjudicators listen to it, well and good. If they don't, it's their fault, not yours. Don't repeat those things, okay? Because adjudicators do take into account whatever you've spoken. You need not emphasize them by constant repetition of the same points. Do you understand? As debaters, sometimes what happens is that I tend to repeat one point over and over again because I think this is very crucial to my debate. This is very crucial to me winning. So maybe the adjudicators have uh, not heard it or bypassed it. So I want to keep repeating it. But that only ends up wasting your time. That only ends up making your case look very weakened, which because you're repeating stuff now, which also indicates or is emblematic of you having run short of material. Do you understand? Try to focus on new dimensions. So even when we're giving a reply speech, you want to give a reply speech which need not have new arguments, which means you can't suddenly start a new case for yourself. So in the first speech you were saying something, in the second speech you again immediately change your stance or like immediately change your approach to the motion. That's not something that's feasible. But what you can do in your reply speech is give appropriate response to the opposition, because now you have already heard their case for like 3 minutes. Do you understand? That's one part of your reply speech, to rebut what the other side is saying. That's very important for you to do. Until unless you rebut the other side, even though your points had a lot of made a lot of sense, they're still not going to have you win the debate because you ended up not rebutting the other side, right? So this is how it works. If I, as a proposition speaker, have given 5 benefits of something because I have to support that thing. So let's say this house supports X is the motion. Do you guys understand? This is just an example. I'll also put it in the chat for everybody's like very fundamental understanding. Okay, so
Excuse me, ma'am.
THX, yeah.
Ma'am, actually, I have a doubt.
With regards to what we're doing right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, shoot.
So, ma'am, actually, on that YouTube channel, I watched the finals of last year. So that the adjudicator mentioned who won and who lost the debate. So will the adjudicator mention who won or who lost the debate?
This time around, because the number of participants is very, very high, it's become very impractical for us to consider adjudicators giving you a feedback. Do you understand? There's a lot of people debating, which means there are a lot of rounds that are to take place in one day, which is why we will only have you guys debate and then deliver the verdicts. Rest assured that the adjudicators are experienced people and they're going to deliver fair verdicts. Okay. So that's about it for this year. Rules keep changing every now and then. That's okay. This house supports X is the motion, for instance. Okay. Now, how do you deal with this? As proposition or as a person who is going for the motion, I am going to support X by giving its benefits. Do you agree or not? If I have to support something, how do I support it? By saying, oh, it has so and so and so and so benefits, right? One way of doing it. And as the opposition speaker, I might go ahead and not support something, which means I regret it, right? So the opposite of support is regret. How do you regret something? By saying that, look, oh, it has so many harms, how can you possibly support something, right? So as proposition speaker, I'm giving 4 benefits, and as opposition speaker, I'm giving 4 harms. Who do you think should win? Can anybody answer? So 4 benefits from like proposition and 4 harms from opposition. Who do you think will?
Hi.
Okay, Parth, you okay? So the rules say that we raise our hands and then respond, because there's a lot of participants. I'll get confused like this. Okay, put it in the chat. Just say for or against, which side wins. All right, most of the people are saying that nobody will win or that it'll be a tie. But I need, is this Wachi? I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. But can you give me the reason for your response? Like, why do you think it's going to depend on whose case is better? Because yours was a unique response. Can we have some explanation on that?
Yes, I think that the one who has a stronger reply speech according to what the your opposition says, that person will win, because if both the speeches are strong, your winning rate will increase automatically.
Lovely. Okay. So I think a lot of the people have said the same thing, right? Consider yourself praised, because that is the right answer, right? So if everybody has given, say, the equal number of harms and benefits, and if both sides break even in terms of quantity, how do you adjudicate a debate then? You adjudicate it on the basis of quality, right? Once quantity is the same on both the sides, adjudicate a debate on the basis of the quality of the speeches. How is the quality determined? I give four benefits, they give four harms. I, as the proposition, will take the debate only when I give four benefits, but I also destroy the four harms that have been given to me by the other side in my reply speech. Does that make sense to you all? There's a dual burden that falls on you in any given debate, any given format, at any level, school or university. You always go ahead and make your own case, but also simultaneously deconstruct the case of the other side. It's imperative for you to do. When you only like destroy the other side's case, it's called running a net negative case. Okay, it's called running a net negative case. You don't want to be doing that, because net negative cases also show that, okay, I am destroying somebody else's arguments, but what do I propose as an alternative? If you can't propose anything as an alternative, no matter how bad the other side's proposal is, it's still the only proposal in the house, right? Do you guys understand this argument? So let's say this house supports X. I, as opposition, I'm saying that no, we shouldn't support X because proposition gave us benefit one, and benefit one is wrong because of yada yada yada. I give reasons. I say benefit two is also bad because of yada yada yada. Benefit three, yada, benefit four, blah blah blah. I have given and I have destroyed the other side's case, and now I'm sitting in front of the adjudicators thinking I should win this debate, right? But the adjudicators will tell you differently. They will say that you can't win this debate because you're only running a net negative case, which means you are only destroying what the proposition is saying. But if they want to support X, and if you don't want to support X, then what do you want to support as opposed to X? Do you understand? Like if I say that this house supports the existence of a government, okay, so government will say, the proposition side will say that, okay, we support the existence of a government because government ensures law and order in a country. Okay, I say no, law and order is not ensured by government because government can also be corrupt. To destroy the point made by government, I can say that, okay, you have destroyed this idea of the government and it ensuring law and order, but if no government is going to be there, what else, right? What else? Because if there is no alternative from the other side, then the only alternative, no matter how bad it is still the only alternative that we have to cling to, right? Then there's no debate. Do you guys understand? So for you to give your own points is one thing, and to rebut the other side is an equally important another other thing, right? In the absence of either one of these, the likelihood of you winning the debate are very, the likelihood of you winning the debate is lessened. That's for sure. Take it from me in writing. And that happens in like every tournament. How do you make a case holistic? Only by making your own arguments, destroying the other person's arguments, proving the superiority of your own by destroying the other person's arguments. Do you understand? So a third component of your debate, of your case, but second speech in general, is that in your second speech you should be more comparative. Okay, so in the first speech it's only me and me, because I prepared the speech based on the motion that I was given in the 2 days. So it's all about me and what I know about the motion. But once the other person has delivered their speech, I also get access to an alternative viewpoint. Do you agree? Because now they are introducing their research on and putting it on the table. So earlier it was just my thing on the table. Now it is the other side saying something. In my reply speech, which is the third speech or the fourth speech of the entire debate, I should be able to consolidate that data. I should be able to put together my first speech and their first speech and compare as to whose case is better. Do you understand? For example, if we take this motion, this house supports science over religion. Very basic, not so smart motion. But let's just take it as an example. This house supports science over religion. How do you deal with this motion? Government will say science should be supported because there's logic, rationality, it can be verified, etc., etc. Opposition is going to say no, religion should be supported because religion is older than science, and most of what religion says makes people follow morality, all of those things which science cannot help them do. At that point in time, both of you are giving me some arguments, and this should be a part of your first speeches, like your respective first speeches. But what you need to be doing in your third or the fourth speech, which is your reply speech, is compare that, okay, panel, if we're following science, then perhaps we will be a more rational society. Perhaps we will give more importance to facts. But then what about human solidarity? What about people standing by each other, which doesn't happen when you become a scientific society? Because when you become a scientific society, you only start thinking about yourself. You become very calculative because it's all driven by numbers and who benefits more and who has more wealth, right? After the industrial revolution, which was a scientific revolution, what did you see happen? The society got fragmented, right? People started serving for themselves, etc., etc. So what you have to do in your reply speech is compare the two cases. Until unless you do that, if you cocoon yourself in your reply speech that, okay, I'm just going to simply repeat what I said in my first speech again in the second speech, it's as bad as not giving a reply speech altogether. Do you guys understand? To repeat the same things is as bad as not giving a second reply speech. Because in the reply speech, you're supposed to be more analytical. In the reply speech, you're supposed to be more comparative. You have to listen to the other side. You can't just keep talking about your case. That's another burden that falls on you when you're talking of a reply speech. Okay, let's have another round of questions because there's a lot of hands being raised and the chat box is a buzz. Um, Let me first address what's there in the chat box, okay, just in case it's relevant to other people as well. Demo, I told you we'll try right now. Hindi quotes. So you're talking about rhetoric, right? Wherein, see, what I strongly recommend is that you stick to reasoning because reasoning helps you win the debates. But if you want to start with a thought, if you think this thought is really going to help your case, there are a lot of thinkers that keep talking about. So, for example, your theme is environment. The broadest theme within which all the themes, pollution, fast fashion, etc., fall is environment. And there's like a principle called the polluter pays principle, right? So if you've studied about these principles and if you know about them, if you want to quote these people, the climatologists, the environmentalists, you're welcome to do that. But I would highly recommend that you make it a balanced mix. Don't just keep saying, oh, Bhagat Singh said that and Gandhi said this. No, that alone doesn't help. You also have to reason by yourself. You can't just keep seeking help from the other people who have already said things. You have to apply your own reasoning in why fast fashion is bad or why fast fashion, how fast fashion can be made better. That's why go and read the articles. That's very important, okay? Once you read the articles, you will understand what kind of an argumentation you're supposed to follow. So that's it about your Hindi quotes and rhetoric. Can we include what if we exceed the time limit? Like I said, if you exceed the time limit, you won't be down marked, but whatever you're saying after 3 minutes will also not be listened to, which means you're only wasting your time if you're exceeding the time limit. Also, time limit is a part of manner, so you might be your marks might as well like get deducted. Also depends on the adjudicator. Just be on the safe side, don't exceed the time limit. Is there any group for 4th to 6th grade? Yes, there is. Ma'am, is there any? Okay, yeah, there is. Is there going to be a timer on the screen? So the adjudicator will give you a tab after 3 minutes, but if you want a timer on the screen, that's not entirely undoable. Just tell the adjudicator or the runner in the room that I'm comfortable with a timer on a screen. Please put it up on. I think that can be accommodated. Is reply speech a rebuttal? Yeah, part of it. So reply speech will include rebuttals, will also include a conclusion because you don't get another speech to conclude your thing. So reply, rebut the points that have been made by the other side, say for like 2 minutes to 2:30, and then in the last 30 seconds try to conclude that, panel, we have said this and they have said this and that this is why our thing takes over theirs. So the thing that I'm talking to you in terms of comparison, this is how you can structure your reply speech. It's only a recommendation. I don't want you to like hard and fast stick to it. But if you don't know how to go about making a reply speech, this is the way to go about it. For the first 2 minutes, try rebutting everything that the other side has said. Okay, every single point. Don't miss out on points. Don't selectively choose points that you want to rebut. Try to rebut as much as you can, because sometimes we as proposition think that, oh, they're making a very lame point, but the adjudicator might have a different opinion. So don't just for granted take anything. Neither your argument nor the other side's argument. Deal with everything with sportsman spirit, right? Don't just go ahead and say that, oh, they made a very lame argument, I'm not going to engage in the first place, because you're most likely making a fool out of yourself. They probably made sense. So you want to rebut every argument. In the last 1 minute that you might have in your reply speech, try to make it comparative. So your conclusion should be comparative in nature. Does that make sense? So if you want to conclude your speech, how do you conclude? You first talk about what I said in my speech, followed by what you said in your speech, and then comparing the two and saying that, look, this is what they said, this is what I said. I think I did better because of so and so reasoning. So give this debate to me. Very proud to propose or oppose. Okay, this is how you conclude, right? So comparison is like a must. Until unless you do that, forget about winning, right? Because until unless you compare, we don't know how you perceive your motion, how you perceive your stance as opposed to the other person's. Can we take down notes of what our opponent says? Yes, that's highly recommended, because how else would you keep track of what the other side said? So if you want to prepare your reply speech, how do you go about doing that? Just keep putting it on a paper. Whatever the other side is saying, keep writing it on a paper. You don't have to write entire sentences, of course. So if I say that, oh, religion does more harm than good because it leads to conflicts and people fighting with each other, just say that just like just say conflict because of religion. That's one point. So it should remind you of what the other side said about conflict and religion, right? So be very smart and quick with your note making also. Don't end up wasting time writing whole sentences. Just write two keywords that will remind you of the argument that the other side was making. Okay. So that's it about your notes. Now, can you please tell me the order, ma'am? Speaker one says speech for the topic. The speaker order for the last time, guys, write it down, is one, constructive speech from the proposition side, which is for the motion side. The first speech is that constructive speech from for the motion. The second speech is the constructive speech from against the motion. The third speech is the reply speech from for the motion. And the last speech, the fourth speech, is the reply speech from the opposition side. Again, reply speech. So the first two speeches are constructive speeches. The last two speeches are the reply speeches. The house that opens the debate is the proposition or the for the motion side, and the one that ends the debate is the opposition side or the negative side or the against the motion side. Call it whatever. Does that make sense?
Ma'am,
Write it.
excuse
Yeah.
me, ma'am. Ma'am, you said that there was going to be a demo. I guess it's just about a real life debate or something, because some of us don't know much about debating. So, ma'am, that's why you said that. I recall.
We can have, okay, so here's the thing, right? Today it's all about format description. Today, as long as you understand the format, as long as you understand what I'm telling you, as long as we're able to answer about the technicalities of the format, we are good. Because we also have 3 other sessions lined up, remember? And for those sessions we have, like, those sessions are particularly for you to practice speech, for you to practice the format. Okay, so practice is yet to come. Today's session is for you to understand the format, because until unless you understand the burden that is on you as a speaker of sticking to the time limit, of being respectful to the other speaker, of taking down diligent notes, of rebutting timely, until unless that happens, you will not fare well in a mock, right? In a mock debate, in a practice debate. For you to be able to practice, you need to have this foothold that I'm giving you today. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. So I guess you have explained almost everything, right, about the format.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm just responding to questions because today it's about answering your questions on the based on the technicalities of the debate. Okay.
Yes.
Depends with which one has stronger argument. Okay, this was about.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, what if we have an argument to the last or fourth speech given by the opposition? So we have another argument. What if the case is not concluded in 4 speeches?
Okay, all right. So if that happens, it's not a good debate, right? So understand, if the other side is doing this, if they're not concluding this debate, their case in two speeches, they're going to pay for it. You as a debater should be very sure that you put the nail on the coffin by the time it's the 3 minutes of your last speech have like ended. Do you understand? Fulfill your burden, right? Don't care about the other person. They can say whatever. The other side can say whatever for as long as they want. If they haven't completed their case, if they haven't concluded it, good for you, right? But you shouldn't follow in the same footsteps, because what happens most of the times is that, oh, the other side kept speaking, so I'll also keep rebutting. Doesn't really make sense to be in the same boat as the person who's going wrong. What you should do, on the contrary, is try to conclude your thing by in your reply speech, regardless of what the other side is doing. Because if I see a good structure to your speech, if I see there was a comparison, there was rebuttals, and then there was conclusion, I'm automatically going to grant you marks, which I'm not possibly going to give to the other person, right, who didn't conclude.
I mean that if I have another argument to the reply speech given by the opponent.
All right. So, okay, in two situations this can happen. One, when in the reply speech a person has introduced something new which wasn't there in their preceding speech, for which they will be punished, not you. You're not supposed to introduce new points in the second speech. That's just one thing that everybody should like wrap their heads around. Don't go on saying that, oh, I mentioned this in my second speech, why am I not being given marks? You're not being given marks because you can't introduce a new topic in your second speech. You can only rebut. You
So,
can
ma'am, the
only
second speech should be connected to the opponent's constructive speech.
True, yes. It should also be connected to your first speech. So if you want to expand the arguments that you have already made in your first speech, fair and good, but don't go on making new points. That in the first speech I'm saying that, oh, religion is bad, in the second speech I end up saying religion is good. Then that's self-contradictory, and you'll possibly lose out on your marks, right?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay. Give me just 1 second. Let me please look at the question in the chat first. That's why I'm saying put it in the chat. Put it all in the chat. If we'll get the topics 2 days prior to the debate, then what is the point of the themes given on the website? The point of the themes given on the website is this, that you already get to practice, right? So if you're smart enough, what you would be doing right now is researching every day at least for half an hour on these topics, so that you can get to know about them. Do you understand? One day read about fast fashion, another day read about climate change, read about what's happening internationally, read about what's happening nationally, because then you will have a stronger foothold. That's why the themes are being given to you right now, for you to know that what this tournament is about, for you to have space to prepare yourself. Motion will come, then it will be very particular. And in 2 days, you might not be able to gather as much data. So start doing it now. That's the point of themes being given on social media. Ma'am, can we interrupt in between? Guys, in the chat, please. Like this, it's very difficult for me to handle so many of you. Just
Can
put
we
in the chat. I am coming to that question. Ma'am, can we interrupt in between of opponent's speech? No, you can't. Because you have been given your own separate time, because you have to respect time, because you're being taught to respect time in this particular tournament, particularly, you can't disrupt a speaker in between, because then it's anarchy. We don't know who can disrupt who when, right? So stick to your own time. Once you will be given 6 minutes. Speak within those 6 minutes. You can't speak out of turn. Will the fourth speech be a reply to the initial speech of the opponent, or the third speech opponent's reply? It can be both. See, yeah, it can be both, all right? So if yours is the fourth speech, then you should make use of both the first and the second speech of the other side, of the government side or the proposition side, and try to destroy the case, right? Will we get just one topic to prepare on? One topic per round, which means if there are 3 rounds, and there you're going to be getting 3 topics. Can we ask POIs? I think not. I think not. But I will have to confirm with Kamal sir. I will let you know tomorrow. Can we make some of the points in a research we have not said in a reply
Ma'am,
speech?
what is POIs?
It's point of information, a very fancy name for just asking questions to the other side. That's called a POI. Okay, so what she is asking, Can we make some of the points in a research we have not said in a reply speech? Okay, sometimes what happens is that to rebut, you need to give some data that you can do. Just don't introduce an entirely new argument. Don't dramatically or drastically change your case. That initially you were saying something and you automatically suddenly changed it to something else. Don't make it very evidently changed, right? Or disrupted. Have some sort of like uh, a synergy, a coordination between your first and the third speech. Don't let it be very different from each other. What is better? Better arguments, but less or more arguments in one? Okay. So arguments are never about quantity, they're always about quality. If I, as
Excuse me, ma'am.
um, is it a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I need you guys to put it in the chat, please. Please put your questions in the chat. Okay, so if it's an argument and if we're talking about quality and quantity, quantity doesn't really matter. Quality does. Quality is God in debates, right? If I'm making one argument and it makes a lot of sense to the adjudicators, that one argument is actually destroying all of your six arguments. My argument wins by default because it's so holistic. It's considering everything. It's considering every stakeholder. It's considering the polluter, the person who is impacted by the pollution. It's considering the government. My argument is very, very holistic, so it's going to give me the debate. So the quantity never matters. How you make your argument, how holistic it is. Holistic meaning how widely have you been able to think about things to come to this conclusion is what makes more like sense and is what is more important. What is the difference between interrupting and asking POI? See, asking POIs, don't forget them for now. I'm going to confirm with Kamal sir. We're going to take this up tomorrow. Don't like fixate on POIs. Right now, only think about making your own speeches. Disrupting the other speaker is not a possibility. You can't do that. You have to speak within the 6 minutes that you get. Okay? The 6 minutes that you get. Will the first speech be a reply speech? Okay, repetition of questions. Will we get time to write a reply speech? All right, so you will get some time to have your reply speech ready. 2 to 3 to 4 minutes, not beyond that. If you ask for 10 minutes, nobody has that time, right? So you can't be given 10 minutes, but definitely 2 minutes the adjudicators can accommodate. What if we have an internet issue? Like we told you yesterday during the orientation, you'll be called back. We'll wait for 5 minutes. If you're still unable to join, then you probably won't be able to participate, right? So try having like a strong internet connection. Ma'am, what is the meaning of topic monster which we have made? See, meaning of topic is just, see, topic is what you are debating on. So what is it that the debate is about? That is topic, that is motion. The monsters are like plastic waste. The monsters are basically embodying the harms that we have caused to the environment for like the theme of this particular tournament. So Frankenstein itself is like this very popular classic novel by Mary Shelley, and it's about like this monster who's there's this scientist who is very ambitious and all of those things. You'll have to read it. I don't want to get into it, but the theme is based on monsters because of it. Okay, so monsters are the things that are harming the environment, and you as the gladiators or whoever, whatever you called as debaters, are going to counter that. Okay, are we going to get all the three questions on one day? Not really. Not really. It's divided from 20 to 22nd, I think. 2 days before the debate, we will get 5 to 6 topics or just three topics. Just three topics. Ma'am, do we have a different topic in all the rounds? Yes, you do. What is the difference between interrupting and asking POI? Already answered. Ma'am, are we going to get all three questions on one day? No, you're not going to have those questions in one day. For those of us who have school coaching, can we request the timing to be slightly flexible? Will any of the rounds be during school hours? None of the rounds will be during school hours because I think 4 to 8:30 everybody's school gets over from what I remember about school days. Okay, and so school hours, no. You can, I mean, if you have some commitments, you can be accommodated, but for that you'll have to ping on the Ogly number, which Kamal sir shared yesterday, and I will also request him to share over again on all the WhatsApp groups. What is better? This has been answered.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, like, if we don't have any doubt, can we leave?
Yeah, okay, yes, you can leave now because now we're only responding to questions. If you are clear about the format and what has been taught to you today about rebuttals and everything, you are good to leave. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you for joining in. Good day. All right. Now
Ma'am,
you guys
can
can.
you please provide, ma'am, can you please provide the recording for this class?
Yes, I'll request commercial to do that. So guys, can you now you can ask me your questions now that people have only the people who have doubts have are staying back. Ask me your questions now. Unmute and ask, okay? Because it's giving me a really hard time going through the questions on chat now.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Anika.
Yes, ma'am. In the one-on-one system, will it be the one person giving the construction speech, the other person giving his or her own construction speech, and then the first person giving his or her reply speech and like that?
Yeah, perfect. Yes, that's it.
So the same person will be giving the construction and reply speech alternatively.
Exactly that. Yes. Yeah, you got it right.
And then it will be like a team if we get into round 2 or 3.
Round two and round three, everybody is going to be doing regardless of whether or not you're winning. After these 3 rounds, your marks will be consolidated. Average will be taken. Whoever's average is the highest is going to move to the next round, like the semis.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Ridhima.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that, like, for example, if my opponent, like, I am for the motion and my opponent is against motion. So he has given his speech. Now I have to reply him. So I have to prepare the speech. It's all impromptu, or I can find some points for on the internet.
No, don't refer to the internet. Refer to your notes that you might have made in the 3 days time that you were given, right? Use the articles that you will be given to read from. So have like a notepad where you keep all of your notes. So while you're preparing in these 3 days, just keep writing important points in your notepad, and then you can refer to that notepad for rebuttals. Do you understand?
Okay. And ma'am, like you just said that we can refer to the notepad, so we can even write some points again, what happens if it's against the motion and some topics for that.
So that you will have to ensure, right? So if you're researching, research from all angles. Try to do that. Some points from the motion, sometimes some points against the motion, just so you have a clear idea about what I have to say and what the other side might say.
So that we can give a better reply.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Just
I
a
just
second,
want to
Ridhima, now that your questions have been answered, I need you to lower your hand. Whoever's questions are answered, lower your hands, guys.
Ma'am, can we leave?
Yes, please do. If you have no
Ma'am,
questions.
actually, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, in a like when you will give us 3 days to prepare for the debate, in that we have to search from the internet. But ma'am, like, in the debates, most of the like children, what happens that in the 3-minute speech they are not able to cover up all the things, and they cannot search out that much data from the internet.
Yeah, so that's why you will be given 3 days, right? So once you're given 3 days, you can try to prepare your speech, you can practice that speech, and then you can deliver it. Do you understand?
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay. Yes.
Ma'am, what is a stance?
Okay, stance is for or against. So stance means which side are you speaking from? Do you understand?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. For example, this house would ban smoking, something like that, right?
This house will ban smoking is a motion. If you have to speak for the motion, then for the motion is your stance. Your proposition. That's your stance. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, is it all right if we just, sort of have a Word document with us online or something,
Yes.
for us, the construction? that speech, the first
Yes, see, okay, note making is a very unique thing, right? Very specific to you. So, however, you are like whatever habit you have of making notes, be it virtual or handwritten, your call. But don't refer to the internet. Just use things that you've already read
Yes,
at
ma'am.
least.
Yes, ma'am. Just like,
Okay.
for example, if we have virtual notes on let's just say if we make virtual notes using the Notepad software, so we can just, type in our first speech in that and just present it in the
Yeah,
debate.
fair enough. Yes.
And
Um,
ma'am, is it compulsory for us to like present PowerPoint slides or something? Because something about those slides was mentioned.
no, 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 no. There's no PowerPoint. I mean, you don't have to. That's not imperative.
And ma'am, what is a model?
We'll come to that later. Okay. So,
Okay,
model.
okay, that's related to the knowledge of debating. So this is just the format description. Yes, got it.
Yeah, and model is not very relevant for the qualifiers. It becomes relevant for the APD format. So if you get into semis, you'll be told about model and everything then.
Excuse me,
Excuse me?
ma'am.
Ma'am, thank you.
Yes,
Excuse me.
Tejaswini.
Who will be telling us stance to? Like in the debate tournament only we will tell that we are in the from the form motion or before the sessions.
So we'll tell you what your stance is going to be. You prepare accordingly, and then we will know which stance you're supposed to be speaking on.
Okay, ma'am. And is there any group for 10th, 12th?
Yes, there is. Yeah. Haven't you been added?
No.
Okay, I'll just let them know. Tejaswini and Anya are two people who I need to talk to the
Thank you,
team
ma'am.
about.
And before the stance, like just now said ki we will be preparing for something. What will be that thing?
Meaning?
मैम लाइक
I
जस्ट
didn't
नाउ
I didn't
सेड
quite catch
कि स्टैंड से पहले हमें बताया जाए कि इसमें हमें बोलना है तभी हम पता चलेगा कि फॉर में है या अगेंस्ट में तो
So you will be given you will be given a motion. You will be given a stance, which is to say for or against, and then you are preparing your speech. That's it. That's all you have to do.
ओके मैम थैंक यू सो मच
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Ravi.
Yeah, ma'am. So the topic which will be given to us, so it will be given 2 days before the debate.
2 days, yes. It could be 3 days or 2 days, depending on
And
category.
3 days for the junior category.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you're a senior category, you can also expect it 2 days before. But for yeah,
Yeah, ma'am. So we we have to prepare for every single topic, and then at the time of debate, we will get to know on which topic we have to deliver a speech.
no, 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 no. You'll be given a motion, you'll be given a stance, you prepare on that particular motion for one particular round. So it's not like you prepare on a lot of motions and then you are given one. You given one motion, given one clear stance, you prepare on that, you come for it. And then in the second round, you're given a different motion, you prepare on that, you come for it. Right? That's how it's going to be.
Okay, so the second round will be on another day.
Yeah, it'll be on another day.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay, you're welcome. Surat, I think we have more doubts. Yes, please. Yeah.
Can you please repeat what the 3 questions are?
The 3 questions?
Uh, you
I
men- you mentioned earlier that we will there will be 3 questions asked.
Excuse me, ma'am.
no. Just a second. Please let one person's question be answered and then unmute yourself. So, no such thing about 3 questions, Surat. I think it was about 3 motions for each round.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Avni, yes.
Ma'am, will we get that a topic beforehand when we are doing the debate, or just they will the topics will appear out of nowhere and then we have to just do the debate?
I can't hear you.
Ma'am, I'm saying that the topics for debate will be given beforehand, or at the spot we will be given the topics and then we have to
Okay,
start.
this is something that I have been saying for too many times now. It will be given to you 3 days before the day of the debate. Okay,
Oh,
three days before the debate. Fair enough. Raju Lakshmi, please ask your question.
Actually, ma'am, I'm not added in the group for the 4 to 6
All
class.
right. So whoever is not added in the group, just put in the chat quickly. Don't direct message me. Put it in like the general chat.
Ma'am,
Uh,
actually, I have two doubts. That, ma'am, my first doubt is that can we prepare some props for our debate competition?
yeah, it's your call. If you want to make it creative, you're free to.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, and my second doubt is that if we qualify for the second and the third round, we will get only 1 hour to prepare our speech. So, ma'am, how will we prepare in just 1 hour?
That's upon you, right? Like, see, it's easy to prepare if you have the way of doing it. Like, for example, I told you, right? Like, if you try to think of 3 arguments, then try to read on the internet, come up with 3 arguments, stop going to the internet once you're ready with those 3 arguments, and then try to crystallize them in your mind. Okay, and then if you're given only 1 hour for preparation, that will also be more relaxed with referring to paper and all. We will also give you, like, we will let you refer to notes, etc., but not read out and out. Only refer to the notes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Surat, you can ask your question. Kunal, you can ask your question.
Yeah, ma'am, in the second speech, should we rebut or should we make constructive points?
No, advisably, all the constructive points, not advisably, essentially, all your constructive points should come in the first speech. That's what it's about, right? So, all the points that you're trying to put on the table for them to be debated, just put them in your first speech and end it there. In the second speech, always one, rebut, second, be comparative, third, conclude. These 3 things. Okay?
And ma'am, another question actually. So if
Excuse
the
No, don't interrupt in between people. Let one question be answered. Yes, Kunal.
so like in the first speech, how much time are we given, and like is it in the second speech? Is it less time or the same amount?
It's the same amount of time. Did you join late?
Yeah, like around. So, yeah.
Yeah, so 3 minutes for each speech.
Okay.
All right, you're welcome. Prabhav.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask what role will statistics play in our first speech?
Statistics. Okay, so this is for everybody to listen to. I think this is very important. And okay, so when you're trying to make an argument, it's called a constructive, right? So one argument is one constructive. Constructive is made up of 3 things. One is your assertion, you make a statement. Second is your analysis. You try to analyze that statement. Why am I making that statement? I say that plants are green. Very foolish statement, but it will help you understand. So if this is a statement, plants are green, nobody is going to listen to me, because for some other person they might be yellow, right? They might be even red. They might be multicolored. I am just giving you a statement. For me, for other people to buy this argument, I also have to give them analysis of why I think plants are green. Okay, that's analysis. Now, thirdly and lastly, I give examples of which plants I have seen that are also green. Okay, this is where statistics come in. So when you're trying to give examples, a very small part of those examples can be statistics, but examples can also be other things. For example, non-statistical examples, saying that look, if there is a person A and if he lives in Saudi Arabia or India, this is how they're going to conduct themselves. For example, so examples are also not always statistical, not always statistical, like associated to statistical data. So it's part of the examples. You might or might not have those in your speech. It's up to you. Does that answer?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yashi? Yashi, do we have a doubt? Am I pronouncing your name right? Yashi, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, right here.
Ma'am, all the rounds will be played on the On the first day only?
No, not on the first day. They are distributed among, like within 3 days. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Shobna, is there a question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, like, for example, if someone is speaking for the argument and they exceed the 3 minutes, so in my reply speech, I should be rather focusing on rebutting the points they made while the 3 minutes was still on, and not after the time elapsed, right?
Exactly that. Yes, precisely.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Soumya? Soumya, I'm all ears. Please ask your question.
Ma'am, well, will we know the exact date when we have the round one?
20th to 22nd of June.
So that is the date on which we will have our round one, or that is the date we will get
That
it.
is the those are the dates when you will be having the rounds. So you'll get the motion before that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Ridhima, quickly question.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that where will we get the recording of today's session?
On the YouTube channel by tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. With that, I think we have successfully answered everybody's questions. We've also cleared what this format entails and how you're supposed to prep for it. Focus more on your reply speeches. It was great meeting you guys. I hope to see you all tomorrow. Have a very nice evening. And yeah, see you all tomorrow. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nitiksha, please just stay on the call till the end. I need to discuss a few things.
Yeah, cool.
Gauri, Pankaj, Yashi, you guys can leave. All the best. Nitiksha, hi. I think you will be having the controls to end the recording because I was, disconnected in between. So my host rights have been, removed. So you are the host now. So you would have to stop the recording and save it, I
Yeah,
guess.
I'll unmute it, but then it doesn't save on my device. I'm sorry. Did I say unmute it? I'll stop the recording, but it
Mhm.
doesn't save on my device. That's the biggest problem.
So it gets saved on the cloud. I think the setting must have been chosen to cloud. So the recording is going to go to the Zoom portal. I think so.
Cloudware, like mine is not like an Apple thing. And I'm sorry if I'm being technologically very, very handicapped here.
No, no, that's fine. Cloud means when the it gets saved on the Zoom database over the email website address basically. So then we can have access from when we log in on the URL, and then our account opens. So we can have all the recordings over there. So it's preferred to save it on the cloud rather than the computer system, because then it individually gets saved on individual computer systems. So
तो
I
मुझसे तो ये
think
पूछता ही नहीं है. Like it just saves somewhere on itself and says you will receive a mail, but then I never do.
Oh God, I think right in the beginning it does give a pop-up that where you want to save the recording. But I think who started the recording? I think Kamal sir did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he must have chosen the cloud option. So let's just hope while you stop the recording, it would maybe convert for a minute. So let that happen. And let's just hope that we get the recording in the cloud and we do not lose it.
Okay, I'll just stop recording right now. That's what you're
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.